Sure, here's an approximately 800-word voiceover script based on the title. You'd make a great bride, the single dad joked. The CEO smiled. I'd need a groom for that. The grand ballroom in Sydney shimmered with crystal chandeliers and the quiet confidence of Australia's business elite. Every seat was filled with entrepreneurs, investors, and journalists waiting for the keynote speaker, the country's youngest female CEO, Amelia Hart. Known for transforming a struggling startup into a billion-dollar company, Amelia was respected for her intelligence, determination, and calm personality. Yet despite all her success, tabloids constantly asked the same question: why isn't she married? Amelia ignored the rumors. She believed her personal life was nobody's business. That evening, after delivering a powerful speech about leadership and resilience, she stepped off the stage to a standing ovation. As she made her way toward the refreshment table, a small voice interrupted her. "Excuse me, miss, are you really the boss of all those people?" She turned to see a little girl, no older than 6, holding a juice box with both hands. Amelia smiled warmly. "I suppose I am." The little girl grinned. "My daddy says bosses are scary. But you don't look scary." Before Amelia could respond, a man hurried over. "I'm so sorry," he said, slightly embarrassed. "Emma has a habit of interviewing strangers." He was casually dressed, with tired eyes but a kind smile. "I'm Daniel." "Amelia." His expression froze for a moment. "The Amelia Hart." She laughed. "Guilty." Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. "Well, Emma clearly has expensive taste in role models." Emma tugged on her father's sleeve. "Daddy, I told you she's nice." The three laughed together. As they chatted, Daniel revealed he was a widowed father raising Emma alone while working as a high school teacher. Unlike everyone else at the gala, he seemed completely uninterested in Amelia's wealth or status. Instead, he asked about books, travel, and why she loved building companies. It was refreshing. Then Emma wandered off toward the dessert table. Watching his daughter, Daniel chuckled. "You know," he looked back at Amelia. "You'd actually make a great bride someday." Amelia raised an eyebrow. "Oh." Daniel quickly laughed. "I didn't mean me. Just, whoever's lucky enough." Without missing a beat, Amelia smiled. "I'd need a groom for that." For a second, they both stared at each other. Then they burst into laughter. Neither realized several reporters nearby had heard the exchange. By morning, headlines exploded across Australia. CEO's funny response goes viral. The billion-dollar bride joke. Social media loved it. But what surprised Amelia most wasn't the publicity. It was that she couldn't stop thinking about Daniel and Emma. A week later, she received an unexpected message. "Emma insists I thank you. She says you inspired her to become a boss." "Daniel." Amelia smiled before replying. "Only if she promises to stay kind." That simple conversation became another. Then another. Soon, coffee turned into dinners. Dinners became weekend walks through Sydney's botanical gardens. Emma adored Amelia, not because she was rich, but because she listened. She helped with homework, attended school plays, and never treated Emma like an obligation. One evening, while helping Emma build a science project, Daniel quietly said, "I haven't seen her laugh this much since her mother passed." Amelia looked at Emma, who was proudly holding a cardboard volcano together with tape. Her heart softened. Months passed. One afternoon, Daniel invited Amelia to a quiet beach. There were no photographers, no expensive restaurants, just waves and sunset. He took a deep breath. "You once said you'd need a groom." She laughed. "I remember." He smiled nervously. "I was wondering, would you consider me for the job?" Amelia stared at him, not because she was surprised, because she realized she'd been hoping he'd ask. Before she could answer, Emma suddenly appeared from behind a sand dune. She held up a handmade sign covered in glitter. It read, "Please marry my daddy." Amelia laughed through tears. She knelt beside Emma. "What if your daddy gets tired of having a boss at home?" Emma giggled. "Daddy says the best teams don't have bosses." Daniel nodded. "They have partners." Amelia looked from father to daughter. Then quietly said, "Yes." Emma screamed with excitement. Beachgoers began clapping, even though they had no idea who the couple was. Months later, their wedding wasn't held in a luxury hotel. Instead, it took place in a beautiful garden surrounded by close family and friends. Emma proudly walked down the aisle carrying flowers. During the reception, Daniel raised his glass. "When I first joked that she'd make a great bride, everyone laughed. Quote. I had no idea she'd become my best friend first." Amelia smiled. "And I finally found the groom I needed." The room erupted in applause. Because sometimes life doesn't introduce love during perfect moments. Sometimes it begins with a child asking an innocent question, a father making a harmless joke, and two people discovering that the greatest success isn't building a company. It's building a family.